Go back.
Senator Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Economy, Indiana is a small town. Mr. McCauley, congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
It's really incredible, a fellow Hoosier, to go on and do the incredible things that you're doing. My question for you is, obviously, what happened to you was wrong. It was disruptive. It didn't just affect you, but it affected a lot of your employees and your partners. Was there ever an opportunity for you to seek or recover any of the losses that occurred to you?
Senator, there wasn't any opportunity to recover. The way losing your bank account works is you spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of efforts, but there's not some sort of a recouping you can do there. We did appeal to our regulator, the OCC, and let them know that this was happening to us, that our bank accounts were being closed and that we're having some disruption of services there. But unfortunately, they weren't able to necessarily help. They can't necessarily say positive or negative things about any particular bank, and so they weren't able to help us get banked anywhere else.
Can you quantify the loss to you and others involved?
So we had a trading business that we were operating that was doing hundreds of millions in volume per month that went to zero because we were no longer able to bring on our clients' cash and bring that into our institution. Because of that, we had to part ways with some of our staff, as I mentioned in my written testimony.
And I assume that it wasn't just really rich people who were affected by that. Common, everyday, working class investors that were affected too.
Senator, our bank serves institutional investors, many of which are creating the products that the retail investors of America use. For example, ETFs. We custody for some of the ETFs that are now owned by a broad swath of the U.S. population.
Okay. Let me ask this a different way. When an innovator gets hurt, it always benefits the incumbent player in the industry. Do you think that the big bank that debanked you had incentives to do that?
Senator, I actually don't think that they did that. I think that many of the large banks in the country were actually in active conversations with Anchorage to add crypto as an offering. So they were looking to maybe become crypto custodians themselves or expand into that business line, which makes it so clear that this was not something that they wanted to do. They did not want to debank crypto. Rather, they wanted to embrace crypto, but they were very suddenly forced to take a 180 direction and go in the opposite direction, not just stopping some of their crypto activity that they were looking to expand into, but actually closing accounts.
The Biden administration often claimed that the crypto industry was a magnet for fraud and crime. But you testified that Anchorage met the same know your customer and anti-money laundering standards that every other bank does. Why do you think the Biden administration was so dead set on suffocating cryptocurrency?
Senator, I can't necessarily comment on the motivations. What I can say is that if you look at the way that the BSA works within America, the BSA works in America via the banks. The banks are the ones that carry that out. So the very idea of kicking crypto out of the banking system was self-defeating, because the way that we get transparency, the way that we get monitoring of an industry is to have it be integrated with the banking system. And so that's why I think the debanking was so wrong-headed and did not make any sense.
Mr. Gannon, when I think of debanking, I think of all of my services from the bank being taken away from me. But is there something in between? I mean, banks that might put holds on transactions or investments that we might not think of as debanking, but would also be a similar type of politically motivated activity?
Senator, that's possible. The technology exists to do it, but it's usually more broad-based than that. Just as an example, I happen to be aware of a vineyard where the wife of the vineyard owner happened to be an investor in the cannabis industry. The vineyard and the individuals that own the vineyard all lost their accounts. They had nothing to do with the cannabis industry, but I guess it was a knock-on effect as far as the regulators were concerned, because all those accounts went away. That's the kind of, unfortunately, it would be nice to think that the regulators work with a scalpel, but it's really usually a 5-pound sledgehammer and a chisel.
Very interesting. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you.